Good morning, you're right, and welcome to week 2. Hoping you're watching this on Wednesday on YouTube, and this week we're talking about our shared world. Last week we talked very much about things that were current affairs going on in London and around the world, around the Black Lives Matter protests and the demonstrations, which are starting to see some real progress around the world. Many things are changing, so then keeping the momentum up in that way. So I'm going to shift our focus slightly to, if you can imagine a bigger issue than that, our shared world. So this image here is called Earthrise. It was taken in 1968 during the Apollo 8 mission. Now the strange thing about the space program is that 1968 was actually a very divisive year in American history. There were lots of racial tensions and problems going on in that country at the time, but efforts had been put together to take humans outside of the Earth altogether. And then the moon landings of 1969 are very famous, whether you believe that happened or not. I don't think anyone's crazy enough to think it didn't. But this has been described as the most influential environmental and of any photograph ever taken. So we're going to have a think about why that is. So why is Earthrise such an influential photograph? Well, this is a quote from Bill Anders, the man who actually took the picture. It says, "We came all this way to explore the moon, and the most important thing that we discovered was the Earth." That's not exactly his quote, but you can read the quote on the picture there. So why is this so important? And many astronauts, they call it the great reveal, when they go into space and they look down and they see humanity's birth planet. Because I call it Earth planet because there may come a time in the future when we occupy more than one, and it'll be important for us to remember where our birth planet was and the fact that we all came from this one blue dot in the middle of space. So if anything, this picture reminds us that we all live here together, and we very much are a large community of nearly 8 billion human souls now, but in the grand scheme of things, that is a tiny number, and we should all be in this together. So what's going on in the world of space exploration at the moment? Well, you've probably heard of Elon Musk and Tesla. You've probably heard of SpaceX as well. Now, SpaceX is a private company which has been bidding for the rights to take human astronauts up from the ground into space, into the International Space Station. They're the first commercial, by which I mean a company that does things for profit. They're the first commercial entity to do this. The only people in the past who have ever sent anyone into space have been the governments of combined Europe, or the United States, or the Russians with the Soviet Union back in the past. So there've only really been 3 or 4 possibly national actors, and only 2 have really had the technology to send humans into space. Now, a private company is doing it. Now, what that usually means is companies who develop things, they're in competition with each other. So there are various other entities creating these spacecraft. One is called Blue Origin. Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon. He created Blue Origin, and they're in direct competition with SpaceX, which means costs will come down, technologies will be competing with each other, and it's going to go much, much faster than it's ever gone before in terms of designing and success and results. So it could be that by the time you're my age or a little older, regular space trips might be a reality. And this is really, really exciting. So if you want to click the YouTube link there, it's quite long, but it's worth doing. It's 12 minutes long, and you can see the entire Falcon 9 SpaceX Dragon rocket launch, which happened last week, sending 2 astronauts up in space for the first time on a commercial rocket. So after now you've seen that film and you can see the amazing technology that's been put into that leap forward for humanity, I think it's very important that we actually bring it back down and we look at some of the other changes that are happening in the world over the last 10 years. Now, you probably wouldn't have known anything about this, but fossil fuels are coal, natural gas, and oil. Okay, they are created by organic matter, so trees and animals that have died and have rotted, being compressed under the earth for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. Okay, and they create this energy-rich material that, when burnt, produces a lot of heat, a lot of power. Now, that's all well and good, and it created the Industrial Revolution, as you guys learnt about. Coal and oil very important for getting us where we are today. However, the environmental impact was very significant, and the CO2, that's carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas to the atmosphere as a result of all of that, has had significant impacts on our climate. Now, over the last 10 years in the UK, the use of fossil fuels has dropped dramatically, and the rise of renewable energy like wind power, hydroelectric power, and in some places safe green nuclear power has now met and exceeded the amount of power being generated by fossil fuels. So again, 10, 20, 30 years from now, we might not have a CO2 problem at all if progress is made. Now, how does this link to space? Well, it's all about technology, guys. The more people that learn about this technology, get into the sciences, and start pushing for change and pushing for development, that is why these things happen. So how are these images linked? We've got Earthrise on the right there. We've got that graph that I showed you on the left. And then we've got an image of the Black Lives Matter protests and demonstrations in London. Now, I want you just to have a quick look at the image at the bottom there. Now, I don't think there's a single community in the United Kingdom that isn't represented to some extent in that image. I chose that image very particularly because it includes everybody. You can see people from all backgrounds and racial groups there, and they're standing together. Now, that links to me, in my mind, to the Earthrise picture, because that is what the Earth should be. That is what humanity should be. We should all be together, working forwards for a good outcome, which you can see in the top left. So how are all these images linked? Well, it's one world. It's one world, and truth be told, it's one community, one species, and we all need to be working together. So what's one way you can get involved? Well, I sent this out in an email today, so hopefully you've seen it. It's a live and interactive module experience from a digital tech industry giant. And if you see in the red box down there, or the red oval, what you'll be involved in if you sign up for this using the link on the email that I sent you is to looking at app design, technology inventions, and how these have changed the world. So changing the world for the better, making it a better place for all of us, is something that your generation, and to some extent my generation, are pushing for now. And it's really important that you all think of yourselves as somebody who can make a difference, be it political, social, technological, or environmental. Here we come to the nitty-gritty of last week. So we've got in gold position, we've got LOR with 63 positives and 67 negatives, so it's only a difference of 4. Then runners up with silver are MUB, and then in the bronze medal position are SSI, so well done to you 3 groups. Try and keep those points difference slightly lower, guys. We've got some tutor groups who need to work on their positives a little bit. That means putting a bit more effort into your work, trying to do your best and answering all questions, making sure things are on time. So shout outs to those guys who got 0 negatives this week. Path, Tyler, Sunny, Zach, Alexis, Samim, Aaron, Zane, Hannah, Gabriel, Charlie, Cyron, Marcel, Sierra, Prina, Mumford, and Eva. Well done, guys. Really, really good. Very impressed. So, building into the wider theme of the assembly with photography, we had a photography challenge over half term. We had a lot of entries, but I've chosen 3 photos that kind of really struck me in a nice sort of image way, and this is some comments from staff. So some fantastic use of light to really bring out the colours, really well thought out. I get the sense of isolation here, but that there's hope. And the third one pretty much sums up how we all feel these days. So in third place we've got Prina, and I thought this was a really good image because we've got the sun dipping just below the horizon there. You can see that it's been a lovely day, but everything is sort of dark and calm, and I thought this looked very sleepy. And you could either think of this as sunset or sunrise, because this might be the end of a long day or the start of a new one, and I thought that's what made this photograph special. And in second place we've got an absolute cracker from Charlie. You can see the pretty much abandoned streets of London here. I think that's seen from a car window. Correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie. but we've got this lovely sky which is really dark at the top of the image and then going lighter, so it's like light at the end of the tunnel. I thought that was really clever. I'm not sure if you meant for that, but I thought it was really good. And also the way you've captured the way the buildings are lit and highlighted was really awesome as well. And in first place, a pretty unique photograph. I've actually never seen one quite like this before from NOAA. Now, you've got an image of London here, and I like the fact that the sun is shining quite brightly on the green leaves at the front, and it really shows that obviously the sun is on the photographer, but the image itself is actually split in half almost perfectly by this beautiful rainbow. Now, you've got the light on the right-hand side and the darkness on the left, and it seems almost like there's a force field bubble around those buildings. I don't know, it just sort of struck me as really interesting and a really fantastic picture, so well done. Okay, due to technical problems, this is now the third time I've tried to record what I'm going to say now, so bear with me, there might be some crackling. So this is about our competition over half-term regarding the cake decorations. Now, cake's a very important thing to me. It's probably a little too close to my heart, if you know what I mean. But this were 3 of the greatest entries that we've seen over the last week, so thought we'd put them in, and everyone on the screen shortly will be receiving a prize through the post. So first we've got Amber with this lovely strawberry and cream style cake decoration here. And Hannah's entry here is really, really good. It's got all the lovely colours on it. It looks extremely indulgent. And then we've got Zach's down at the bottom with a very impressive multicoloured rainbow cake. I tried to do this myself, but all the colours leaked everywhere, so I gave up. But well done to you guys, absolutely fantastic. And the next time it's anybody's birthday, I think all 3 of you should be made to bake a cake, just for me. Okay, it wouldn't be an assembly without the lucky 7, so let's go through them. Let's have a quick look. Number 1, how many astronauts walked on the moon during the first lunar landing? So how many astronauts walked on the moon? Number 2, what were their names? 3, what does STEM stand for in education and careers? What are we talking about when we're talking about STEM? 4, who can take up a career in STEM and space industries? What kind of person can take up a career in STEM and space industries? 5, how many kilometers is it to the moon? 6, what's the name of the most recent human spacecraft which flew last week for the first time? Be careful, because I have not mentioned it and it is not written on the slides either. So if you're going to say the word that's on the slide, you're not going to be correct, so you need to find out. And number 7, what does that word mean? Okay, so what did the astronauts name their spacecraft, and what does that word mean? So given the positivity of everything that's on the assembly, guys, I want you to be thinking big. I want you to be thinking about the future. Lockdown will end. You will go back to school. Life will resume. And I want you to be thinking about your future. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to take yourself? Okay? Because there's only one person that can get you where you want to go, and that's you. So how are you going to do it? If during this situation still, though, you want to talk to someone, those numbers are there. So please use them. And just to sum up, a brilliant quote from Elon Musk, the head of Tesla and SpaceX. He says, if something is important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. So that can go for anything, a career in technology, a career in the media, a career in the arts, okay? Trying to bring about social change by protesting in the streets. If something is important enough, you should try, even if you think you might fail. Now, take that with you through into next week, and I look forward to seeing some great results from you, from your teachers next week. Thank you. Have a lovely week.